Well, it is the first Tuesday of the month.
And that means Albuquerque Police Chief Ray Schultz is joining us to take your phone calls. Chief Schultz, thanks so much for being with us today.
Glad to be here.
Chief, we've talked a lot the last few days about the cell phone bans around the nation. One study says they don't work. Your opinion on that?
Well, I think...
As far as with drivers, let me put it that way.
Well, unfortunately, we know for a fact that talking on cell phones does cause more accidents. About a 30% chance of an increase in being involved in a collision while talking on a cell phone. So the problem is the enforcement. Just the enforcement alone is not going to work. It's a combination of enforcement and education. And one of the things I do is I look back to seatbelts. Back in the 1960s, when we first started doing seatbelts and mandatory use of seatbelts, people said it won't work. It won't change behaviors, it won't save lives. Well, it took 30 years. 30 years later, we're at a 91% usage, and we've seen a decrease in number of crashes and deaths and injuries. So it's going to take a long time, unfortunately.
Very quickly, an update on a very high-profile murder. This was the murder of the Maldonado couple. Have you had any break in that case at all?
Well, no big break yet. We continue to follow up leads. I had detectives working all weekend. Of course, this was a very busy weekend for us with the incident on Friday up at Sandia, and we had another homicide over at Vermont and Central. But detectives have been working around the clock, continuing to follow up leads, and they continue to develop different things that are worth following up. So feel very confident that we will be able to solve this case, as it's taking a little bit longer than we normally see.
All right, well, let's go to the phone lines now. In Albuquerque now, Mary has a question for the chief. Go ahead, Mary.
Hello.
Morning.
I was wondering about, yesterday I was at a stoplight and I saw a truck that was at the stoplight throw their 2 empty beer cans on the road there, and I was wondering about reporting the DWI possibility with the cell phone ban in place. What kind of problems could that create?
Well, if you're calling law enforcement for an emergency situation, it is okay to use your cell phone. So if you were to call the pound DWI, that would be information that would be relayed to us and to our officers, and we would actually put officers in the area and try to make a traffic stop on that vehicle. So you can use your cell phone to call emergency services, so that would be an allowable exception.
All right, we have another call, and this is John in Gallup. John, go ahead. What's your question this morning?
Yes, I was going to ask the chief about what he thought about using Bluetooth, because I noticed the conversation earlier with Russ was saying that even using that would be a distraction. That's almost like saying a distraction to talk to somebody in your car is a distraction.
Well, everybody has different driving abilities, and unfortunately, I think some folks, no matter what you do, they're still going to be bad drivers. The main thing is with a Bluetooth is it does keep your eyes on the road. And that's one of the things that we see, especially with younger kids with cell phones that are texting. And I just saw one yesterday, a high school kid with both hands on the steering wheel with the BlackBerry or whatever in his hands, typing with both thumbs. So the Bluetooth is better than holding the phone up to your head. Of course, if you have a vehicle that's got one built into it, it's even easier. So a lot more debate, I know, on this topic, but a Bluetooth is better than the old-fashioned way of holding onto a phone.
All right, Chief. Well, thanks so much. It's great having folks call in. We are out of time, so you'll be back next month.
Looking forward to it.
All right. Thanks again.
And Jason will be back with the weather, and we'll have our top stories of the day, too, so stay with us.